Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. Thanks to Kojiko and your TV, this is our chance to share a conversation about what matters to Oakville. And given our history, one of the things that matters a lot to Oakville is our role in the Black history of Canada. And today is the start of Black History Month. February is Black History Month in Oakville, in Ontario, and in Canada. And we have quite a history. And with us today to delve into that are Julian Kingston, who's the keeper of our records of our Black history, which goes back to our founding days, and Andrew Tyrrell, who is the leader nowadays of the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. Andrew, why don't you explain why it's called what it's called and a little bit about the history? Because one of the most important things about the CCAH to me is how old it is.
Well, thank you, Mayor. The Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton is presently in its 44th year in Oakville, and we have been doing good works for the community since then, and we have been, I believe this is our 16th year for celebrating Black history.
Yeah. So I was wondering, Julian, could you give us an example of some of the interesting holdings of Black history that the museum keeps? I'm trying to continue to use your word. You're the keeper of what we keep.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it at the front of the show in terms of Oakville's early Black history going back as far as there was in Oakville. The town itself, really got started in 1827. And by the 1830s, there was already beginning an influx of people who were fleeing slavery in the US to come up, to the Canadas where slavery was already made illegal. And there was an influx, you can trace it back that far, and we have names and some records that really tell us about some of the first Black settlers here in Oakville. Here in the museum, I mean, we have some really key pieces. I'm standing in our permanent Black history exhibit right now, and just across from me is actually a pocket watch that belonged to a man named Branson Johnson, who came here to Oakville in 1853, and it was passed down from father to son, essentially as an heirloom. And in 1976, his descendant Joe Johnson was cleaning it, and as he was cleaning it, the back popped open, and inside the back he found his original ancestors' freedom papers, which were like, the documents that Branson had to carry around to show that he was a free man. And the Johnson family very generously donated that to the museum. So I mean, I consider that one of our most important, one of our key holdings here at the museum. It really tells that story and also makes those connections back through the generations.
Yes, and Council and I support the museum in this because we're too aware of the people that keep popping up who try to get away with pretending that history didn't happen. And these artifacts are a way of bringing it to life and making you stop and think, what if I had to carry such a thing around? But Julian, you don't keep everything in the museum. I'm very proud of the way your material gets exhibited in our community centers and in town hall. Where are you going to be putting? I mean, I know everything's changed because of COVID, but what have you got planned for Black History Month, and for that matter, the months outside of Black History Month? Andrew had a great line the other day that I'm not going to steal, but he's already smiling at remembering it because he'll use it. But go ahead. What are we doing for putting the material
It's
out?
an excellent point. So we do celebrate Oakville's Black history, in particular during February, but we also talk about it all year round. This is a permanent exhibit, and we're always it's always part of the visit to the Oakville Museum. One of the things that is particularly popular this month is our school program. But again, we offer that all throughout the school year. We're not just doing, Black History lessons during February. This year, because of COVID restrictions, we'll be doing another year where we do virtual versions of the school visit program. But we are open to the public now. We're allowed to open under the current set of restrictions. So if you wanted to come down to the museum and visit this exhibit during February, you can. We're open currently Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. The same information that's in this exhibit is available in a number of the community centers. Andrew's also been very proactive in getting that out into schools as well. So there's a kind of an exhibit panel version of this exhibit without the artifacts that's out there in the community. That's in many locations. And there's also, this material is available online as well. So we continually, every year, we add more versions of the panels. We try to do more programming. We're teaming up with CCH on a number of offerings, both in person and virtual this year. So we do concentrate on, February gets a lot of attention in terms of Black history, but good point. It's something that we're always talking about.
Well, Andrew, I riffed on your line this morning at the flag raising when I talked about how Black history doesn't get made only in February. But why don't you share your line that I was inspired by?
I think what you're referring to is I have been very vocal about telling people throughout the time that I've been president that we're not only Black in February. And I can tell you that Julian talked about those panels, for example. We have those panels right now are in St. Thomas Aquinas High School, in Loyola High School, as well as Holy Trinity High School. And CCH is a regional organization in that we service all of the regions of Halton. So we're not only in Oakville, but also Burlington, Milton, Halton Hills. We have a number of programs. But in relation to the museum, we're holding a program that I think is really cool. It's called Clef Notes to Canvas, and it's a hybrid program. So there are some people that will be in person at the Oakville Museum, and at the same time, it's going to be virtual. And what it is we have an artist from Milton. His name is Omar Hopkinson, and he creates this mood through music. And also our Vice President Sheldon Williams is there as kind of the DJ for all of this. And people are given 2 canvases, and there is music that's curated, and they're asked to paint a picture, and Omar facilitates that picture painting. And then there is a break, and then there's another canvas that's given to people, and they're asked to create a picture with paints, and it's to a different kind of music. They're all Black artists. And then at the end, Omar will say, one painting is supposed to represent the struggle, and the other painting is supposed to represent freedom. And you compare and contrast the two paintings. So Black history, I said that CCH has been celebrating Black History Month for 16 years on this grand scale. But really it's CCH has been celebrating Black History Month for its 26th time, but on this scale, it's the 16th time. But initially, Black History Month didn't have the traction that it has right now, and it was just some regular folks that kind of got together. And when Black History Month was proclaimed by the present House of Commons, sponsored by Dr. Jean Augustine, the Member of Parliament. They got together and they celebrated it in their homes, in their basements. And it's not until later on did it get the traction that it has now that CCH really celebrated it on the scale that we are right now. We have 60 events that's going on throughout the month of February in all of the regions.
And tonight on your TV, you've got quite the production.
Yes, we're really proud of this production. It's our Black History Month that was supposed to be in person, and it ends up being that we had to do it virtually, but it still has kind of a live stream sort of feel to it, because we had an audience there, and spaced out, of course, and we're really happy about how it turned out. It's 90 minutes of entertainment, education, culture, all of that good stuff.
And coming right up, right?
That's right. It's today at 7 o'clock.
So, I guess I want to turn to the contribution that you've been making to our the town's work at developing better equity and inclusion. But before I do, I have to ask, I was at a bit of a rehearsal for your show, and I heard a girl singing. Oh my, what a voice. She was, I think she was just practicing, and she did a little bit of that song I like called Rise Up by Andra Day. I thought it was Andra Day. The voice was so remarkable. Did she do that in the show, or did I only hear a snippet?
No, she did that in this show, and you're referring to the two-time Juno Award winning singer Sonia Collymore, who brought with her band, and that is going to be really our
Awesome.
feature entertainment for the virtual launch.
Just an amazing voice, an amazing voice. Just a very moving voice, I guess I would say. All right, so equity and inclusion in Oakville. We're very grateful to you for the time that you gave us. How exactly? So talk about it. What did you experience? What do you think we're going to? What do you think we can achieve here?
Well, I think, first of all, the town should be commended for its efforts in diversity, equity, and inclusion at the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. Our pillars are community, culture, harmony, and education. So really, we are working together to achieve a community that has that. So the first thing really is that I came to you and I said, look, I think that we should get some more people who look like me. I would like that the town's staff represents really what the different ethnicities there are in Oakville. And I'm not just talking about Black people or African people. I'm talking about all kinds of different people, Arabs and Asians, and you name it. And as I said, the town should be commended because what they did is they took me up on my suggestion. And now what they're doing is that all of the jobs that come out, it's not just resident on the Town of Oakville website as a job opportunity. So you have to know that it exists or know that job opportunity is there and then kind of look for it. You have taken the initiative and you're sending it out to all of the community organizations so they can distribute it amongst their network. So that's one of many really good things that the Town of Oakville is doing. And I guess the second thing is that you're supporting us in our Community and Harmony Garden. And that is at the Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center. It's 1,000 square feet. And what we've been hearing from the community is two things, really. One is that they don't have adequate space to grow their own whatever. It could be vegetables, it could be flowers. At the CCH, we support everybody. So we have seniors who have left their homes in order to go to long-term care resident living, and they don't have a flower garden or a vegetable garden anymore. We have people who are in social housing and they don't have opportunities for growing their own vegetable garden. And people who are in apartments, all of that. And so we're giving free plots away. We're creating a community harmony garden. We're giving away free plots to individuals who and families who would like to experience the joy of gardening. And the town of Oakville has been right there with us every step of the way through community consultations and sourcing all of the things that we need to make that garden vision come to a reality. And it'll be there in May. And the other thing that we are doing to support the community is that we're having a summer day camp at the Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center. And we have a real connection with QEP because it is the home offices of Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton. And that's going to be an 8-week program that's going to be action-packed with ceramics and steel pan lessons and art lessons and swimming and all kinds of things. We'll have ladies empowerment classes. We'll have a whole host of activities for the kids. And then once a week, when the parents come to pick up their kids, courtesy of Food for Life, Halton, we will have a free grocery pickup. So they'll have a big reusable box, and every week when they come to, once a week when they come to pick up their child from summer day camp, they will have be able to pick up groceries. And as well, Food for Life is going to be giving snacks to the kids. So all you have to do is just pack up your kid in the morning and bring your child to QEP. It's going to be a 100% free daycare experience for them. And you only have to bring them lunch. All the snacks are provided. You get free groceries. The community is supported. Once a week, we take kids on a field trip to the different parks that we're blessed to be right in the middle of. It's a lovely program, and I want to thank the town of Oakville for really supporting us in that.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for the summary. I want to bring Julian in for a second just to point out that he's got quite a branch of his museum, in my view, at Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center, because of all the exhibits that I see when I walk through the corridors of that place. What are you showing over there now that the kids and their families might enjoy, Julian?
Well, we actually kind of had to press pause on our exhibit schedule for COVID. And just before we got shut down, we had put in a wonderful exhibit on basically fables and fairy tales. So that's still there. We're going to leave it up as if, for about the same period it would have been up for the original opening. But you're quite right. We do have a significant gallery footprint there at Queen Elizabeth Park. We also have, not very many people know that we have our permanent storage facilities there as well. So things like our archive and most of our artifacts are actually stored at QEP. And Andrew, we should talk about doing some behind the scenes or some fun museum activities for your kids' camp while it's there, because kids love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and definitely, Julian, I can tell you that one of those field trips that we have in the summer is going to be to the Oakville Museum.
Perfect.
Well, I hope they get to see some of our, either way, either at QEP or at the museum. Surely they'll run into some of our Black history material, and that'll be good. I still am amazed at how popular Queen Elizabeth Park Community Cultural Center turned out to be. I mean, I really thought that the 16-mile sports complex was going to be the thing I would be most remembered for, but it turns out the most popular thing I've done is create Queen Elizabeth Park Community and Cultural Center. It's unbelievable the amount of families, well, kids. It's a kid magnet basically, because there's every activity under the sun available to you in that former high school, like 150,000 square feet. I joke about it because I don't really know how long all the corridors add up to, but it feels like there's 2 kilometers of corridors on which, I mean, we've now got galleries, hallway galleries for every kind of art you can think of. It's kind of amazing to have space for a change. Julian, your museum used to be, up against a hard place trying to find places to store your stuff. So it's just been amazing to me. So,
well, what I say about QEP is that you're talking about the art. They have some really amazing art, indigenous art exhibits there. They have some really unique pieces. And part of that garden, Mr. Mayor, as you know, the CCH Community and Harmony Garden, part of that garden, we've worked with Elder Peter Schuler, and that will have an indigenous component. There will be indigenous growings there in part of the garden that we've selected as a meditative part. But also what we're most proud of is there's going to be a part of the garden that's going to recognize the children that left First Nations for residential schools and did not return. So we're really happy that we were able to get that in there. And as you said, it's a hub for the community. So the community will, it'll be a focal point for them to reflect and recognize about that part of Canadian history.
now, it seems to me all year round, we ought to be, well, I want to talk for a second about John Wesley Hill. And the reason I want to talk about him is he was a very brave man. And I say that because he's referred to as having been a conductor on the Underground Railroad. And I've always understood that to mean having escaped to freedom, he went back to help others get out. And that's, I mean, if you know how brutal life for slaves was and how brutal that society was about, slaves, escaped slaves and all of that, his courage it floors me. Will John Wesley Hill have his due during Black History Month, Julia?
Well, he figures very prominently in our programming when we talk about the significant figures in Oakville at the time. And even though we do talk about the ship's captains like Captain R. Wilson, who helped people on the last leg of their journey, someone like James Wesley Hill was much more at risk. Spending more time south of the border, being a Black man, being a fugitive slave himself. A person who had escaped from slavery. An incredible amount of risk that he took on. And, also probably one of the more, again, we don't really have a way to verify numbers, but certainly thought to have brought several hundred people north, which is an incredible achievement. And left other legacies here in town as well, in terms of really starting the trend towards strawberry farming. His prosperous farmhouse still stands. So I think that I've said this, like in any other, if this was in the United States or maybe in some other jurisdictions, his house would be a museum as well, right? Not that I'm saying you need to turn it into one, but I do think he does not get the recognition that he's due in terms of his place in our history.
Well, what CCH is doing, just to piggyback on what Julian has said, is that we're really driving home the Black history component of Oakville in the schools. And we've engaged a historian. Her name is Dr. Caroline Schmart-Frost, and she is a doctor of history, and she leads research into Black history at Dalhousie University. And we've brought her in virtually, of course, to do not only Black history to both of the school boards, the public and the Catholic school board, but also to the Halton Regional Police Service as well. And they will be not only utilizing her video to celebrate Black history in their Black Internal Support Network, which is a group of Black officers that are celebrating Black history, and we're supporting them in that. But with the leadership of the chief, that video is going to be there for many, many months, and it's going to serve as a training tool for the Halton Regional Police Service.
Well, that's some influence and a good thing to hear. Andrew, would you be comfortable talking a moment about the service that your mom provided the community when she led the organization?
Well, my mom was really spearheading diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she wanted the Canadian Caribbean Association of Halton to stand for diversity, equity, but also, and most importantly, inclusion. So she wanted everybody to know that although CCH is a Black-led organization, it supports the community as a whole. All of our programming, we have youth leadership programs in the summer. We have Christmas concerts in the winter. We have music programs and art programs that go throughout the year. We support seniors in their homes, as well as seniors at retirement residences. We do a number of ongoing programs for the community. We have a one-year dialogue with Sheridan in supporting the students there. And all of our programs are for everybody in the community, not only for Black people, it's for everybody in the community. And she had this saying that her belief was that in order for Black people, which is really only 3% of the Halton community, the Halton demographic, there's 15,000 or so Black people who have identified as Black in Halton. In order for those people to do well, first of all, the community as a whole has to do well. And that is something that we are continuing with.
It's a very inspiring legacy to live on. And I hope we get to have a ceremony dedicating the square to her on Buttonbush Trail now that maybe COVID's behind us. And we've probably run out of time. So I'll thank you for watching and ask you to join us next time on Oakville Matters.